Hello, everyone. Have you ever felt like your life is a small boat on a very big ocean? You might try to steer it carefully, but sometimes the ocean currents decide where you go. Today, I want to talk about these currents, what I call the flow of the world, and how they often shape our lives more than we realize. For a long time, I believed that hard work was the only thing that mattered. If you worked hard, you would succeed. If you tried your best, good things would happen. It was a simple, clear idea. I imagined my life as a straight path, and my feet just needed to keep moving forward. I focused only on what I wanted to do, what I liked, and what I was good at. I thought that was enough. I remember my early 20s. I loved art. I spent hours drawing, painting, and visiting galleries. My dream was to become a professional artist, living a life surrounded by colors and creativity. I imagined a bright, sunny studio filled with my works. My friends would sometimes talk about safe jobs or growing industries, but I mostly just smiled and thought, my passion will guide me. The world outside my art felt distant, like a background noise that didn't really affect my own special path. I studied art in university, spending my days in large, echoing studios, breathing in the smell of paint and clay. My teachers praised my talent. My classmates shared my dreams. It felt like a warm, supportive bubble where everyone believed that pure passion was the key to everything. The outside world, with its changing economies and job markets, seemed unimportant. We were artists, and our world was about beauty and expression. But as I got closer to graduation, a tiny crack started to appear in my perfect bubble. I saw some older students, talented artists, struggling to find work. They weren't bad at art, not at all. But the jobs they wanted were few, and the art market seemed very small and competitive. This was a puzzling sight for me. If talent and passion were enough, why were they finding it so hard? The confident, clear path I had imagined for myself started to feel a little less certain, a little more misty. It was like standing on the edge of a beautiful forest, ready to step in, but suddenly noticing that the path ahead wasn't as clear as I thought. My own dream, my deep love for art, was still there, burning brightly. But the world around that dream, the world of jobs and money and everyday life, suddenly felt like a much bigger, more powerful force than I had ever considered. This was the first time I began to truly understand that my personal dreams might need to meet the larger, invisible currents of the world.
The small cracks in my artistic dream started to widen. After graduation, the reality of finding work as an artist felt like trying to catch smoke. I sent out applications, showed my portfolio, but the replies were always polite rejections or sometimes no reply at all. My classmates, once full of hope, also faced similar struggles. Some took temporary jobs unrelated to art just to pay bills. Others moved back home, their bright creative spark dimming a little. I still loved art with all my heart, but my stomach started to rumble. My savings were slowly shrinking. I realized that passion alone, while powerful, didn't pay the rent. This was the main conflict. My personal dream was clashing with the harsh reality of the job market. It felt like I was rowing my small boat with all my might, but the powerful ocean current was pushing me backward, away from my desired shore. One evening, I met with an old university mentor, Professor Kim. He was a kind, wise man who had seen many students come and go. I explained my frustration, my confusion. I love art, but it feels like the world doesn't need artists right now, I told him, my voice full of disappointment. Professor Kim listened patiently. Then he looked at me with a serious but gentle expression. My dear, he said, talent and passion are like the sails on your boat. They help you move. But the wind and the currents of the ocean are also very important. Sometimes, the wind isn't blowing in the direction of your biggest dream. Or maybe the current is too strong in a different direction. He paused, sipping his tea. The world has flows. There are good times for some industries and difficult times for others. Your art major, for example, is beautiful, but the demand for it in the job market can be small right now. His words made me feel a bit uneasy at first. It was like he was saying my dream wasn't enough. But then he continued. The smart sailor doesn't fight the ocean. They learn to read the wind, understand the currents, and sometimes they adjust their destination or find a different way to sail. Think about the big picture, the larger environment, what industries are growing, what skills are truly needed by the world right now. His words started a new kind of thinking in my mind. It was a challenging idea. Was my intense focus on my own desires actually making my life harder? Was I ignoring the powerful currents that could either help me or stop me? The stakes felt higher than just finding a job. It felt like understanding how to navigate life itself. The old simple belief that passion was everything was now being questioned by a much bigger, more complex truth about the world's flow. I felt a growing sense of urgency to understand these currents, not just for my career, but for my entire future.
Professor Kim's words echoed in my mind for weeks. The smart sailor doesn't fight the ocean. They learn to read the wind, understand the currents. This was a completely new way of thinking for me. It felt like standing at a crossroads. One path was my beloved art, a path that felt very personal but also seemed to lead to a difficult, uncertain future. The other path was less clear, less personal, but perhaps more practical, guided by the flows of the world. This was my major turning point. The emotional impact was strong. It felt like a betrayal of my own dreams. How could I turn away from something I loved so much? My heart pulled one way, full of passion for painting. But my mind, now awakened by Professor Kim's wisdom and the reality of an empty wallet, pulled the other way, towards stability and a clear future. This internal struggle was the most intense part of my journey so far. I spent many nights looking at my art supplies, feeling a deep sadness, but also a growing sense of urgency. One afternoon, a friend called. She was very excited about a new online course in digital design, creating graphics for websites and apps. It's a growing field. She said, lots of jobs, and it still uses creativity. My first thought was, but it's not art. My second thought, however, was, but it is creative, and it is in demand. This was the moment of discovery, the small twist in my plot. It was a bridge between my passion and the world's needs. I hesitated, but then I remembered the image of the struggling artists and the rising cost of rent. I looked at my hands, which longed for a paintbrush, but then imagined them working on a computer, creating something beautiful that companies actually needed. It felt like making a very big sacrifice, but also a very smart move. This decision was the climax of my story. It wasn't a loud event, but a quiet, firm choice made deep inside me. I decided to enroll in the digital design course. It felt strange to sit in front of a screen, learning code and design software, when I really wanted to be mixing paints. But as I learned, I started to see the beauty in it. Digital tools offered new ways to create, new colors, new shapes. It was a different kind of art, a practical art that the world truly needed right now. My inner conflict began to resolve. I wasn't abandoning my love for creativity. I was adapting it. I was learning to sail with the wind, not against it. It was like realizing the ocean had many different currents, and by understanding them, I could still reach a fulfilling destination, even if it wasn't the exact one I first imagined. The tension eased, replaced by a sense of strategic purpose. I was still an artist at heart, but now, I was a sailor learning the true power of the ocean.
Learning digital design was challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. It felt like I was gaining a new language, one that the world needed. My early stiffness with the software slowly turned into fluid movements. I found joy in creating user interfaces and designing website layouts, seeing my creative ideas come to life in a different form. It wasn't painting on canvas, but it was still art, just a more modern, in-demand version of it. Soon after finishing my course, I found a job at a growing tech company as a UI/UX designer. The work was exciting, and I was constantly learning. My colleagues were passionate and smart, and the company was expanding, riding a strong wave in the economy. Unlike my artist friends who were still struggling, I felt secure. My income was stable, and I could even save money again. This feeling of stability and progress was incredibly satisfying. My fear of not being able to make a living, which had shadowed me after graduation, finally disappeared. I realized that by looking beyond my own immediate desires and considering the economic currents and industry demands, I hadn't lost my passion. I had simply redirected its flow. I learned that sometimes the easiest way to find success and happiness isn't to fight against the tide, but to understand it and use its power. It's about being smart and strategic with your life's journey. Now my life feels balanced. I still love art and I still draw and paint in my free time, but it's a hobby now, something I do purely for pleasure, without the pressure of needing to earn money from it. My career as a digital designer provides me with financial security and intellectual challenge. I see how my skills are valued in the market, and that gives me a deep sense of purpose. This experience taught me a profound lesson. The world has flows and currents, and our lives are often shaped by them. It's not just about what we want, but also about understanding the environment, the economy, and the demands of the industry around us. Being aware of these external factors and planning your career strategically can lead to a much smoother, more successful, and ultimately happier life. So, my advice to you is this: don't get stuck only in your own thoughts and dreams. Look around you. Understand the world's currents. Think strategically about your life and career. It's not about giving up what you love, but about finding the smartest path to your own version of success and happiness. The ocean is vast, but with a good map and an understanding of the waves, you can sail toward a truly fulfilling life.